Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? Just a reminder, I do have that new rule. I'm not doing how anyone feels about whatever. So if you have a question about someone else, try to reframe it where it gives you some power over the situation. What can I do about the situation? What can I do about so and so? That kind of thing. I'm going to get started with our community read. I feel like I haven't pulled this one out for a really long while. This is The Endless Oracle by Eric Mael. So super nice. Find him on Instagram. He actually did the Inkwitch Tarot if you're into collecting tarot. And I want to apologize ahead of time for my voice. Obviously, I was not here last week. I was on vacation. Kind of got a little bit of like plane crud on the way back and then screaming at dodgeball. So it's a whole thing. Anyways, feel like I sounded a little bit like a frog, but I'm happy to be here with you guys. It's so nice. I said hi to some of you guys in the chat already. Anj, no worry. It happens to the best of us. Welcome, Ari. Let me read who I have in the queue so far, and then I'm going to get started with the community read. So I have Anj as the first person in queue, followed by Cat Goddess, Ari, and then Luke. So if you didn't hear your name, use !join to enter the queue. And that will get you added. If you don't get a notification from Streamlabs, it just means that you need to do it again. Sometimes Streamlabs has a bit of a brain fart. YouTube is that way for some reason. So I'm going to just go ahead and do a little community read here. Move this out of the way. And I really like this deck because it kind of creates like connections between the cards. It's basically a Mariorama, I believe, if I'm saying that correctly. Where it forms a story as you build the cards, and you'll kind of see in a second. So we have here for the first card, we have the pomegranate. Let me look up what that is. I do wish there were some keywords on the card, but I feel like this has to do with growth, kind of the fruits of our labor, and almost like if you think of seeing all of this darkness around, you see this bright peach, I guess I'll call it, or pinkish of the pomegranate. It's almost very enticing and alluring. So this card is the card of desire and temptation. There's this sense of yearning here. So I feel like maybe for the community, this is talking about really wanting to feed the hunger, if you know what I mean, where you kind of want to step into your sexuality, step into your desires, kind of giving into them a little. And I mean this in a healthy way, where sometimes if you feel like you're not prone to do that, you don't kind of loosen up, you don't give yourself that kind of freedom or allowance to open up. Maybe this is a sign that it's time to do that. Own yourself, own your sexuality, and just make sure you're continuously doing that in a healthy manner, though. That's what I will say about this card. So if you have, and it doesn't have to necessarily be sexuality either. It could, so in regard to desires, if you have something, perhaps this is kind of also saying like step into that boss bitch mode, take what it is that you want, whatever it is you're looking for. But let's pull another card. We'll expand on that and see what we're looking at as a community. We have the archway. The archway, the archway is a bit of a journey. So this desire that you're reaching for, it's saying that like you have the opportunity to get there, but you kind of have a bit of a winding path before you reach it. So you see these desirable things, you have these desires, you have these goals, you have whatever it is that you're looking forward to, but you need to put in the work to get there. And in this card, we kind of have a dark moon here. So I feel like this is saying, or a new moon, depends how you look at it. Hi Sherry, welcome. We are just working on the community read, so good timing. But I feel like this is saying that you don't have the light of the full moon. You have the energy of that new moon where you have these new beginnings. This is time for manifestation. So if you've been maybe neglecting your manifestations or you've been thinking about possibly doing it, this is the card where it's saying go ahead and do it. This is your go ahead, your green light to do it. Um I will say too that the archway suggests that if you've been in this really stagnant place for a while, there is some movement coming your way. It's not a narrow and straight path though, so just keep that in mind. Let's pull one more card. I think one more. We'll see. Let's see. Another card for the community. All right. Ooh, we have clashing armies. So, like I said, I feel like I mentioned that in with the archway, the clashing armies is probably more indicative than the archway is of the fact that you're gonna have some turbulence along the way. Let me turn this down a little bit. I feel like this might be a little loud for you guys. Here we go. So this is not going to be an easy journey, I feel like. So, whatever goals you're setting, I kind of feel this in myself a lot too. But whatever desires you have, whatever goals you're setting, whatever you have your eye on the horizon, it's going to take a while to get there. It's going to be a little bit of a winding path, and you're going to be met with some opposition. This could be in the form of rejections, it could be in the form of pure like obstacles, like people getting in your way or whatever that might look like. So just know that you have to be willing to put in the work, you have to be willing to fight the good fight. And just understand that that can take a bit of a toll on you, like emotionally, mentally, physically. So I guess if I were to summarize all of this, make sure you're taking care of yourself during this process, um during this phase. And let me see. Oh, and Black Widow, I got your cash app, so you will be first up. But let me see when the moon what the moon phase is. I know we just left the new moon, I think last week, or maybe it was this week. I don't know. Vacation does this to me, guys. Let me see here. Here it is. So we're in the waxing phase. We're coming up to the first quarter tomorrow, and then we have the full moon. So I feel like, oh, and the new moon was last Thursday. So I feel like this is saying this is a process that's going to happen throughout the month until we make it back around to the next new moon phase. So this could take about a month to realize, I guess, to sort of start to show itself. So be patient in that time frame, be patient with yourself, understand that things don't happen overnight, and just baby steps. All right, let's go ahead and get my cards all warmed up. One sec, guys. I'm losing it. Sorry. There we go. All right. So, Black Widow put in for 3 questions. So, Black Widow, go ahead and put your question in the chat for me. And I'm gonna leave these out just in case. Depending on what your questions are, sometimes I'll pull more tarot cards. Sometimes I'll pull a combo of oracle and tarot. It seems what I'm drawn to. Hey, Whimsically, it's nice to see you. And yeah, so guys, I was out last week because I was snorkeling in the Florida Keys. I got so burnt up. I have not gotten this burnt in a long time. Okay, so number one, will being a PSO be lucrative? What's a PSO, by the way? Project something officer. Let's see. I think I'll pull I think I'll pair these. Let's see how this will see if being a PSO will be lucrative. Will be a PSO be lucrative? And last one. I love this deck because it shuffles and it's not stingy with cards. So you have the butterfly, the cat, and the birds, and then I'm gonna do like a little mirror spread here where I have the tarot underneath. One more. All right, so we'll go through the we'll go through the oracle. No, cat. Black Widow donated, so she gets to hop the queue. So we have the butterfly, the cat, and the birds, and then we have in reverse we have the well, which is a specialty card for this deck, and I'll explain all of that. And then we have the Hierophant and the Magician. So let me go through the oracle real quick. And excuse me in advance, guys. So sorry if I'm coughing through a lot of this. So the butterfly is the rebirth card. I feel like looking at the oracle, I feel like this can be a path of success, but there's going to have to be some groundwork that happens, at least looking at the tarot here. The butterfly is the transformation card. This is where you are kind of coming out of your cocoon. You're finally starting to spread your wings, starting to feel like you can take flight. And the butterfly also suggests like rebirth, like a rebirth is happening. So I think the PSO position, while you don't necessarily have any like cards that scream financial, like being lucrative in a financial kind of way, I think this might be lucrative in more so of a personal development kind of way. So the cat is the center of this reading here, and you can kind of see how these cards form like a little panorama. It's very cute. The cat is a very curious creature. This is also where you need to kind of balance a little bit of that intuition. Like cats rely very, very heavily on their instincts, but they're also very observant to the things around them. So I think this is saying to be a little adaptive as things are changing. Um, Simply going this route and just saying you're going to do it isn't going to be enough. You need to be a little flexible with how things go, and also trust your instincts as you go through this process. Thank you for the subscription, Heaven. But the end, you have the birds. So let's see what it says about the birds. The birds, okay. Oh, this matches up a lot. Okay. The birds, think of the birds as like a flock, right? So do you have this flock in the PSO world? Do you have a network? Do you have a mentor? Do you have some way of building your presence in this world? That's where the birds come in, and that's actually mirrored down here with the Hierophant and a little bit in the Magician. We'll kind of talk about that as we go through it. Let me see. I always forget what the well means in this deck. Let me see what the well is. It's a specialty card, so I tend to forget. Okay. So the well in reverse is saying that if you've been feeling stuck, the PSO route is a good way to feel unstuck. You just have to make sure you don't let the fears of being stuck limit you going forward. I think that's why this is in reverse. So when we see the well pop up, the well kind of mirrors the butterfly in the sense that this is where inspiration comes in, kind of the cat and the butterfly. This is where inspiration comes in. You kind of start to see things transform and grow and change. But the problem in reverse is there's a stagnancy that's happening, and I think you can get out of it by relying on that network that I'm going to talk about. So the Hierophant, there's there's kind of like a twofold discussion, but I do want to point out you have two major arcana. So this is going to be something that's very impactful for you long term. This isn't like with having two major arcana cards here, this isn't going to be something that you kind of do haphazardly, and it is what it is. This is actually going to be a path that is going to be long standing, and I think seeing these cards, it has the potential to grow into something that's very lucrative. So I feel like in the short term, in the now, it may not necessarily be, but it might still be a good path to go down. So the Hierophant kind of mirrors the birds, where this is saying you did say you have a mentor, and that's exactly what I see here. Excuse me, with the Hierophant. There's an element of tradition that happens, so it makes it I don't know what PSO actually is or anything like that, but I feel like this might mean you need to kiss a few rings and kind of play the game a little bit, and your mentor can help you navigate that path. But at the end of the day, you have the Magician card here, and this card is saying you have the skills to create anything that you need to. You already have the foundation, you already have the know-how, you just have to make it happen. And that's the Magician card telling you go and make that happen. So I know basically you asked if it would be lucrative. I feel like when people ask about something being lucrative, they mean more financially. There's really nothing here financially. So no coins, nothing like that are popping up. But I will say, in terms of personal development, like lucrative in that regard, I see a lot of that. I see that being very impactful in the long term. So if that is okay with you, then I guess I would say yes. If you're looking for strictly financial, then I'd say no. So it just depends on what you're looking for. All right. Go ahead and put your other two questions. And guys, if you would like a more in-depth reading, you are able to tip as well. And that will move you up the queue to be right after Black Widow. I'm gonna take a sip. All right, what's your second question? And just a reminder, after Black Widow, I have Anj, Kat, Ari, Luke, Sherry, and Whimsically. Let's see how that will go. So for this one, since you're already kind of getting the ball rolling, and you already have the foot in the door, I won't pull as many Oracle cards for this. I'll just kind of pull. Ooh, you have the Weaver's card. I definitely think things are gonna come out really well. Let's see with tarot how Great Agent will go for you. Okay, one more. You know what? I think that Weaver card means something a little different. So I think that let me see here. Let me see what we have for the Weaver card. I don't think necessarily this is gonna be as impactful as you're hoping for. I do think that this card gives me more of a like reverse meaning, and I just flip it for visual purposes for you guys. I think that instead, I think you're hoping to get more out of this than will actually happen. I see a lot of that in the Knight of Wands. Perhaps you heard that other people were doing things and, making bank or, whatever out of this. But at the core of it, it's just um backbreaking work, and you're just going to be what's the you're just going to be surviving in it. It's not really going to help you. It's going to be more exhausting than anything, and ultimately you're not going to love it at all. It's not going to help you move forward in any kind of way. We have this Ace of Cups in reverse. I don't think I said all the cards. Ace of Cups in reverse, Nine of Wands, and then the Six of Wands. I said Knight, but it's giving me still like, so the Six of Wands is like the hopes and desires to stand out, but in reality, it's just a lot of backbreaking work, and backbreaking work that you're not enjoying and doesn't really with that Weaver card, doesn't really give you control or change over anything. So I would say that perhaps this one, not so much as the previous one. Uh, it'll probably help, uh, like just to survive in for the most part, but it's not going to be the end all be all. And that one was a little short, but I think that was a very clear message with that one. So if you want to post your third and final question, I can pull that, and then we'll get to the free readings. And I do want to caveat, because you were asking about your luck as well. It's neither good nor bad. I think it's just going to be hard work, and I don't see anything like tragic about it. I don't see anything great about it. It's very just neutral with a hint of exhaustion, if that makes sense. Oh, and guys, if you're enjoying these readings, don't forget to like this video. I have it on subscribers only, so you guys are all subscribed. So thank you for that. And if you would like, you can join me over on Discord. We've been doing some plan with me's, talking tarot, upcoming releases. What else? Ooh, we've been doing our own. I've been creating these build your own story times and with tarot. If you've been wanting to learn tarot, it's a fun way to learn. Okay. Thank you for letting me know, Black Widow. Hmm. I feel like this is a long one. All right. Let's see. Let's see what the overall energy is for this. So you have the bridge, the cottage in the woods, and the forest. Very interesting, because they're all very like sort of remote solitude kind of things. Let's see what the tarot has for you. Move that up. Oh, you have the Magician popping up again. The Magician is your card today, Black Widow. And that Ace of Cups in reverse. Okay. So I'm gonna read this. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm gonna read this a little more intuitively for the oracle, just because of the connections of everything. We have the bridge here. We have the cottage in the woods. We have the forest, and this feels very much like taking your own time, having that solitude, and I think coming to terms with the end of this relationship. So I do want to caveat, I always advocate people to talk through things, and I'm just a girl slinging cards on the internet. Please don't uproot your lives for me, but this is what I'm seeing in the cards. So the bridge is telling me that, you kind of have to, that phrase, cross that bridge when we get there. I feel like you are there. And what you're doing is kind of mirroring. I've pulled this in the sense of like mirroring, right? So here we're crossing that bridge, and what you're doing is leaving behind the things that are not serving you. So I would say in relationship to this question, that this relationship just might not be the best for you, and your it's your moment now to determine if it ever was and if it ever could be. Um, and if it's not, then it's time to just walk away. The cottage in the woods is that like solitude, but also it's a refuge from the cold of the forest that I see here, and the journey of the bridge. So this is like where you get that rest to really sit and think. And the magician, you're asking about what the magician is. The magician is the card of being highly skilled, but also it's the manifestation card. This is saying that you have the tools you need to manifest anything that you want, whether it be, the careers that you've asked me about, whether it be relationships, stuff like that. So don't sell yourself short. Don't try to, turn lemons into a lemonade. If it's a lemon, leave it behind, and it's okay, because you have the skills to make better lemonade somewhere else. Um, and then we have the forest. One of the things I will say about the forest in regards to this situation, which is leading me to believe that it's better to move on from this than try to salvage it, is that the forest can be very, very dense and very easy to get lost in. So while you found this cabin, this solitude, this safety from the like elements, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, don't branch out and go back to the same thing that you're gonna get lost in. And that's where I see the Ace of Cups in reverse. I feel like this being at the end is saying just cut it off. There's nothing new to start here in this situation. So why try to salvage it, There's nothing to salvage. I'm just reading. I think financially you can. I would say in terms of this relationship, maybe you can manifest something better. But I will say you did get the magician card for a finance question and for a relationship question. So I feel like this is saying you have the tools to do it all. So you just simply should not sell yourself short in either of those situations. So I hope that clears up that question about the magician. But yeah, I think that also with the magician card, I think it's saying that, you have the ability to do and achieve better. Yeah. Ooh, a vision board would be awesome. We are coming up to that time of year where vision boarding is going to be like the thing. So I know you sent another cash app. Let me do one free reading, and I will pull some more cards for you, okay? So Anj, if you're still in the queue, go ahead and repost your question for me. Ugh, Come on, Streamlabs. Being a butt. That way I can get the cue down just a little bit. So I'm not gonna do what he thinks about it, but I can see what the situation is between you guys. I don't like to read about people's thoughts that are not your own. Why'd you walk away? Were you guys fighting? Let's see. One more card, one more card. Here we go. We have, sorry, these are hard to read from a distance. We have the King of Wands in reverse, the Ten of Cups upright, and then the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So, you guys have, there's an interesting dynamic here where I feel like at the heart of things, there's this goal of, you know, caring for each other in some kind of way, but the Page of Wands and the Page of Pentacles are both in reverse. They're just not agreeing with the situation so much. So I feel like this person or P is giving more of the King of Wands energy, and you're giving me more of the Page energy. I'm going to describe it. I could have it switched around, so just go off of how I describe it and let me know. So the King of Wands, I feel like, is the king. He is the type of person who I feel like gets insulted very easily and feels like he doesn't take being slighted very well. So it, he can become very fiery when it comes to his temper, really hot tempered. And then there's just severity about the King of Wands in reverse. Whereas the Page of Pentacles in reverse is more so feeling a little lost in the situation. I would say that the page, so the king has more of an older, more mature energy, and the page has more of a youthful energy. But I think in regards to this, I think that, you know, this person has been around the block a few times in terms of relationships, and maybe because of that, they really don't like to uh what's a good word? They don't when things are going wrong, they just kind of blow up a little bit, and they don't handle the situation well. Whereas the page is trying to, but doesn't know how to yet. So they're a little more green when they come to the situation. They're newer to it. The Page of Pentacles generally wants to feel like they are trying new things. They're, especially when it comes to relationships, they're wanting to learn how to put roots down. They're just not quite good at it yet, but they're working on it. And the problem is, in reverse, it feels like you don't have the ability to do that. So I feel like, you know, this 10 of cups here in the center is like saying, like, you know, you guys might have had these goals, these emotional connections, but whatever happened between you, maybe it could just be your different perspectives of the situation are causing you guys to just disconnect completely. One of the things missing here are swords. There's no communication. So while this king here might feel a little slighted, feel like they were um, being disrespected, they didn't take very kindly to that. The page is not doing it on purpose. They're being much more innocent in that regard. They're just not navigating in the way that they should be, and that's because they're learning. So I think that because of that, this is getting lost. this 10 of cups, because this is really like ending a cycle and happily, like making that final connection, and you're just not able to get there. There's like this disconnect that's happening. And even though this is a 3 card reading, the fact that there are no swords here just screams to me that you guys need to sit down and talk things out and just explain perspectives and try to navigate the situation a little differently. So, um, I would say that maybe walking away wasn't the best idea because this person didn't respond very well to it. But there is room, at least there's still room to reconcile um and reconnect. Let me do one more reading, Black Widow, and then I will get your next question. What is going on, Streamlabs? There we go. Let me pull in Cat. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being patient, Anj. And Black Widow, go ahead and put your next question in the chat. Let's see, Cat. And just a reminder, I have Black Widow up next, followed by Ari, Luke, Sherry, and Whimsically. And if you guys are enjoying, make sure you like this video. Let's see, Cat. Will you ever have a good family life or see improvements? Last card. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, 7 of Swords, and then the Emperor in reverse. I don't like to be bleak in readings. I do like to tell people that they have the power they have control over things to some degree. But I will say that this doesn't look like a very happy ending in regards to your question. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse, mirroring the Emperor in reverse, just really shows that there's no desire for things to change. And I don't mean this coming from you. I think that this is more so like the energy around the entire situation. So if we look at this 7 of Swords upright, I feel like no matter what you try to keep giving, you're only going to get like deception and cunning in response. And ultimately, you have these energies around you. This reverse Queen of Pentacles and reverse Emperor. The reverse Queen, this is usually Queen who's very nurturing, very grounded, but instead, more so, is just greedy. I feel very much like an emotional vampire or energy vampire, someone who would rather just suck the life and energy out of you. Um, Very codependent too. Usually it results in people wanting to like leech off of you in some kind of way. And then on the other side, we have the Emperor in reverse. The Emperor can, even upright, can be a little rigid, and it's funny you said your dad, because the Emperor is kind of the fatherly figure card in the majors. And in reverse, the Emperor is kind of a jerk. So they're really stubborn. They're not willing to change at all. And ultimately, it stems from like the need to feel like they're in power because of insecurities and whatever past things or whatever. But um they don't emanate the good side of the Emperor, where they feel like they can be that protective figure. Instead, they're doing the exact opposite. So I really don't think that things are going to change. I feel like if you so I guess if I'm giving you advice, based off of this reading, I don't know your history, but if you have tried and tried and tried and it keeps leading to the same similar kind of results, I think based off of this, it's time to just accept that things are not going to change. And that can you can make the decision how you're going to make it, whether that be low contact, no contact, or just whatever that, or you just accept that that's the behavior you're going to get. That ultimately is up to you. But I will say, based off of your question, I don't see anything changing in terms of that behavior. And I don't see any desire to want to change. And ultimately, you know, poor you here in the middle trying desperately to like steal away some sort of love. You're just going to be met with, you know, deception and lies and deceit. So, and I'm sorry. Yeah, it sucks to be stuck in this kind of situation. I think part of what can help in these situations is to understand that it's nothing you're doing. You don't deserve that kind of energy that you're getting, um, and that their problems are their doing. So while it doesn't get you out of that situation, it kind of helps you understand, at least accept that this is something that's happening. It's not my fault. There's nothing I can do to change it. And I'm going to live my life happily despite this person, if that makes sense. So I wish you a lot of luck because it sucks when you have a parent figure who's just a trash panda. Hi, Luna Bug. It's time for uppies. It's that time of night. Okay, I'm gonna get back to Black Widow. I'll do her final reading, and then after Black Widow, I have Ari, Luke, Sherry, and Lindsay. So if you guys are still in the chat, let me know if you have any fun plans for this weekend while I pull Black Widow's cards. Yeah, Luna. Okay, I'm gonna pull some oracle cards. I think I'll pull one again for this one. I had a very clear message last time. Honestly, nothing sounds amazing. I'm so busy this September into October that I'm actually envious. Let's see. When it comes to your mentor, what should you do moving forward so the relationship can benefit you? Let's see. I'll pull two cards. Okay, Luna. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Two cards. Here we go. We have the lighthouse and the fisher. How interesting. Okay, let's pull some tower cards. I'll pull two to like mirror it. Oh yeah, Luke, you have that big move. Card number one. And card number two. Yeah, Luna. So I'm gonna flip these upright just because anytime I get all reversals, I like to do that. So with the lighthouse and the fisher, I think that let me look up the lighthouse and the fisher. I kind of have my own thoughts on it, but I do want to know what. Okay. And This rings a bell. I feel like I might have told you this before. Um, the lighthouse, think of it as shining a light on what it is, where it is you want to go, right? If you think literally of a lighthouse, the goal is to beacon in ships so they don't crash against the rocks, right? So if you are trying to facilitate this relationship with your mentor, make sure you make it very clear what your goals are so you guys don't just get lost in the sauce. Thank you for subscribing, Lily. And then we have the Fisher. I feel like I've mentioned this in other readings with your mentor. This is about connecting on a personal level. So when you think of fishing, a lot of people do it in solitude, but sometimes it can be a group effort. But there's a serenity and calmness in fishing that happens. And I feel like, this is kind of go with the flow. You know, uh, Figure out and think of fishing as like a hobby, right? Figure out what this person really likes. What does your mentor like to do? How can you connect with your mentor outside of a work capacity and more on a human capacity? So that way you can draw the um best part of her out. Vaguely recall you saying your mentor was a woman. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we have here for the tarot, we have the Six of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. So the Six of Pentacles is the card of generosity. It was in reverse before, so I will give the warning that try not to give your time and energy with the thought that you have to get something in return. It's supposed to be a give and take relationship, right? A lot of people, I think, go into a mentor mentee relationship thinking that as the mentee, you're supposed to get, but it's really not. It's a more give and take where you're explaining yourself, you give them your perspective, you let them know who you are as a person, and then they can give in return. But we also have the Page of Swords. So yes, Luna. Yes, good girl. The Page of Swords. This is I like this card being here because this is your thirst for knowledge. The Page of Swords is wants to be a sponge and just soak up everything. So I will say that in because both of these were in reverse before, the Page of Swords can sometimes suck up too much again without giving anything in return. So there is a balance. And so if I did a reading for you where it said that it was lucrative, I wonder if, you know, seeing how I did that before, and then this time it was more so about like working too hard, but you had another option that you asked about. Maybe I think what it is in reference to this other thing that you asked me about. Maybe the freight thing is not the best in the scale of things. It's not gonna. That's why it felt very neutral. I guess today it just felt like a lot of hard work. Um, Anj, any? I don't really have a set number. But I think that you'll definitely get more out of this connection if you just kind of take the pressure off, go in with the mindset that I mean, almost think of it as like a friend in some kind of way, where you have like an older friend, she's like an auntie that you're trying to build a connection with. See, I knew it. I was like, I might have said it was lucrative, but I feel like there's some perspective happening this week. I can't remember because I think it was over 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I think that you kind of had the same message for your mentorship thing again. So I think just stick to that and just remember, you know, connect at a human level. You're welcome. Ari, you're up next. Go ahead and put your question in the chat. Luna, can you sit down? Okay. Luna's like, I'm done. I'm tired of you being on the computer all day. Hey, Ari. Yeah, Luna. I'm almost done. Not almost, but getting there. Only have four more people. Okay. Sit down. Oh, and just a reminder, after Ari, I have Luke, Sherry, and then Whimsically. Okay. Um, I'll pull let's see, how do I want to do this? I'll pull a card for each city and just kind of get a general gist of things. So let's see about Seattle. Let's see, Seattle. All right, let's see about Houston. Ugh, Houston's hot and hurricanes. All right, and Dallas. Dallas is nice from personal experience. Chicago. Chicago is also very nice. Let's get that up. And Phoenix. So I will say, if I were to rank these, I would say perhaps Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Chicago, Seattle. So we have the Six of Swords for Seattle. I think this is more so a city that would represent trying to escape everything. It's really like trying to move just to move, putting things behind you. It's not like it's fairly neutral in the sense that you're not getting anything out of it. You're not getting anything good or bad. It's just a way to get away. I can pull a quick one for Atlanta. I feel like I did Atlanta for you. Maybe not. Nine of Cups for Atlanta. So for Seattle, or not Seattle, I'm sorry, Houston, we have the Six of Wands. I think that this is where you can kind of feel like you stand out a little bit. Feel like you can shine amongst the crowd. And then uh Dallas, you have the Judgment card. I think Dallas would be more of a learning, growing experience for you. This is where you kind of discover yourself. You kind of start to come into your own a little bit. Maybe understand the world a little bit, but we kind of hinted that a little in a different card. So we have Chicago here. This is the King of Wands. I think that for the King of Wands, this is actually fine. Maybe this is where you start to feel like you are more inspired. You can tap into more of that inspiration and creativity. You feel like you can finally stand out as a leader in some regard in that aspect. But in the grand scheme of other things, it's a fine card. And then here we have the World for Phoenix. So the World card is that feeling complete, feeling like you have achieved something. Um, this is like the end of a cycle where you feel like you can complete the cycle. Like I know you've asked about moving for a while, so I feel like Phoenix is where you can feel like I found it. I know, like this is it. I'm closing that book on figuring out how to move. I've gotten it. And then but then we do have the Nine of Cups with Atlanta. I think that you will enjoy Atlanta. I think that Atlanta probably checks a lot of boxes. The Nine of Cups is kind of the wish fulfillment card where you feel like emotionally just joy that you manifested the right things and overall just feeling very content with things. So I will say that I think you have a lot of options. It will boil down to visiting and weighing the pros and cons. Yeah, and I think that Seattle is neither good nor bad. It just is. So in the grand scheme of all the cards, it feels like very meh. But I will say that what I recommend for you is maybe to write down what I said, right? And then when you go to visit, see how you feel. Do you get that vibe? And then compare it at the end of things. I will recommend, just as someone who lived in Texas for a few years, that if you are not a heat person, you will not like Houston, Dallas, or Phoenix. Like Dallas had record heat this year. They had the most days over 105. Like they broke a record this summer. Houston gets hurricanes and they're oppressively humid. Phoenix, they at one point they couldn't even have planes take off because the wings were warping because it was so hot. So if you're not a hot person, so then conversely, you you kind of got to it. If you're not into cold, Chicago, Seattle might not be your jam. Chicago is also the windy city, so it gets very windy, very cold, and they get the lake effects from the Great Lake. So you might want to consider that as well. So just throwing in my 2 cents outside of the cards. But I do recommend if you're wanting to weigh the pros and cons, go back, listen to the explanation, write it down, and then write it down and then compare when you get the chance to visit. Because I like the cold, but Chicago can get cold. But I will say that Chicago's food, Chicago's culture, Chicago's nightlife, beautiful. Atlanta, kind of the same, but a little too ratchet for me. Seattle was actually surprisingly very nice, but no nightlife. So you got to experience some of these things, I will say, because while you could get a lot of different things beneficially moving to these different cities, it's about the ultimate, like, can you see yourself living there, right? So while, what was this? Phoenix was the world card. Maybe you just don't see yourself vibing in that kind of community. You know what I mean? So it's still up to you. And all of your cards were upright. So that's a good sign too. Yeah, so you totally get that. If you don't like that, then Chicago might not be for you. Conversely, I love Chicago. I love the food, I love the culture. If I were to consider living in another city, I would consider Chicago, I think. But yeah, you'll have to let me know as you visit these different places. I don't know if you've been to like Chicago or Atlanta since you're on the East Coast, but yeah, Chicago's I think you can actually take it from New York. Well, New York City, I know you can take a train there. I just don't know how long it is or how much it costs because trains are expensive now. All right, Luke, you are up next. You're welcome. Is this the same guy, Luke? Let me get another deep shuffle in real quick. Okay, let's see what this situation is between you and your boyfriend. Hmm. Is this the same person? Okay. Um, well, you have the Knight of Cups, the King of Cups, and then the Two of Swords. So I would say whatever happened in the last month really changed things around from I feel like the last reading I gave. Um there seems to be or there's going to be some growth that happens. But there are still some I still feel like you guys are at a little bit of a crossroad with this two swords. I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. It just feels like it is. And I can always give you a deeper reading on this too later, but with the Knight of Cups, I don't know which one of you is the Knight of Cups, which one's the King of Cups. I'll describe it and you can determine for yourself. So I feel like the Knight of Cups is not maturing right in this grand schemes of a relationship. The Knight of Cups is a fun person to date. They're fun and charismatic. They kind of like to love bomb you a little bit, but there's really no depth there. There's no actual connection. It's just fun. Um, the King of Cups, conversely, is the opposite of that in the sense that there is that emotional connection. There is that desire to love and be loved, but there's with the king, there's this intelligence that happens. There's more of a wisdom, kind of been around the block a bit. Um, and they basically know what it is that they want out of the relationship. And I think that these two people colliding is causing this two of swords moment here. This is where I feel like maybe you're not aware of the depth of that, how these two things aren't meshing, right? So, and let me give you an example, just in tarot metaphor, right? So we have two cups here. So seemingly, it seems like there's a natural connection, but the reality is these two people want to get along but are gonna constantly butt heads because this is the fun time person, really just wants to go with the flow, kind of changes their mind with the wind, but they are leading with their heart, whereas this person is really more thoughtful, slow and they are more logical about the decisions that they make in regards to what will make them happy. So while this person is more so leading with their heart, this person is leading with their head, and they don't mesh up. And I think that's what's happening here with this Two of Swords is that there's a constant butting of heads that's happening. It feels like there's a need, and since you do have the swords card, I think there's a need to talk about that. Maybe, if one person has been that way for a while and the other person has been that way for a while, maybe they don't realize that it's either incompatible or they have to make it compatible in some way. Whether that be setting boundaries or maybe just recognizing that they're doing certain things and changing that up. So how that manifests is a little different. I feel like is a deep um this has a more depth than I feel like three cards can portray, because I feel like there's much room to expand on every single card, like expanding on what it is this Knight of Cups is after, or what it is this King of Cups is after, and how to rectify the situation of the Two of Cups. So if you want to do your own reading, you can go back and kind of break it down that way, and you can pull these cards out of your deck and then pull extra cards. Welcome back, Luna. Extra cards for these. Uh, but I will say that I don't think there's anything bad per se. I think there's just a disconnect that's happening. And sometimes disconnects, we all disconnect in some kind of way, like with each other. We're all individuals. We're always going to have misunderstandings. We're always going to have arguments. We're we're always going to like slightly different things, that kind of thing. So I don't feel like there's anything inherently bad. It's just that you have to bridge the gap between these two personalities. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Does it help, Luna? Yeah, it does. All right, Sherry, you're up next. All right. So just to clarify, you mean the year of 2023, right? So basically October, November, December, the next 3 months. Yeah, Luna. All right, just checking. I've had some people come to me like, "What's coming up this year?" And they're like, "I meant the next 12 months." I'm like, "Okay, that's not what you said." Yeah, Luke. I think communication is always going to be the key there. Let's see what's coming towards you in love this year, Sherry. I try, Luke. Thank you. Ooh. Okay. So I feel like the rest of this year is going to bring some really interesting things. I think that, over the next few months, you're going to finally mesh out what it is that will make you feel um like you have make you feel complete emotionally. I think that maybe over the past few months you've been trying to figure out what that looks like what a good relationship looks like, what you want your future to look like, relationship wise. And I think you're finally going to start to get there. You're going to understand what it is that you want. And I feel like it's because someone new is going to be coming into your life. um we have the Page of Cups. So Ten of Cups, Page of Cups, Ace of Swords. The Page of Cups is someone who is a little more youthful, vivacious, um, really learning who they are emotionally and when it kind of wears their heart on their sleeve. And just ultimately, I think that they are going to be someone who helps spark this like magic in your life. And that's where I see a lot of that in this Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords, um this is this mirrors this card. Hold on one second, guys. Okay. The Ace of Swords kind of mirrors this Ten of Cups here, where this is the card of manifestation, right? So you've discovered what it is that you really want. You kind of have someone who sparks that in that you've connected with, that sparks that discovery, and then you are going to start to make it happen. This is the new beginnings. This is the new journey kind of card here, but this is very internal. So I feel like there are going to be steps that have to take so that you have to take. So I don't feel like in by the end of this year you'll be in a relationship, but I feel like things are going to be making a lot more sense by the end of the year. What you need to do going forward is going to make a lot of sense. And it could be in regard to this page, or this could just be the spark. Um, that sets all of the things in motion. So I feel like you're going to be ending this year on a good foot in terms of understanding yourself, understanding what you're going to accept, your boundaries, your goals, and you'll be able to enter 2024 with the knowledge of what you want your emotional life to be, who that person is that you date, what life you guys create, that kind of thing. All of that will start to become much more clear. And I think it has to do with this page here. This page can be you, but it kind of feels like it's someone that you meet. Um mm, I'm not sure if this is a necessarily a new person. I don't think so. I think this might be someone you've already had in your life. So this could manifest in a few different ways. This could be someone new that you meet and you just kind of see yourselves with them, right? Or this could be someone that you already know who's in a relationship, and it kind of dawns on you that you want that kind of relationship, and you now have this skill, not skills, the knowledge to manifest that and make that come to fruition. So I will say that if you're hoping to be in a relationship by the end of the year, I don't necessarily see that, but I do see you really ending the year on a solid foot to start the next year off really well. Um, ooh, okay, I got it, Anj. Thank you for putting your name. Um, so Sherry, I hope that helps. That it sounds like you're going to be ending the year off on a good note. And Anj, you can go ahead and put your question in the chat. And then I will be ending with whimsically. Let's see, compatibility. Let's see. Compatibility with Anj and P. Ooh, we have the pomegranates. That was our... And the birds again. Okay. One more card. And the lighthouse. Okay, nice. So let's get this up. Let's see, compatibility between Anj and P. Compatibility. Mm. What was your previous question? I'm trying to think of the cards I pulled, but I was such a goldfish brain. So I feel like there actually is a lot of compatibility between you guys. We have the pomegranate, the birds, and the lighthouse. The pomegranate is, and I see a lot of cards reflected back on them. So the pomegranate is the card of like desires and enticement and stuff like that, where I feel like that means you guys have this really strong connection in regards to like um it really is giving me like Adam and Eve kind of vibes where she plucks the apple from the tree kind of thing. That's where kind of what I get without the bad, I guess, without the bad part of that story. And the birds is really your network. So if you guys are in the same social circles, friend groups, that kind of thing, or if your families are somewhat close, I think that is also another good sign. This feels more so like social circles than anything, or like friendship groups. And then we have the lighthouse. So I think while maybe it has not been verbalized, I've I think I recall for you, I was saying that there's no communication between you guys, right? Um, unless that was someone else. I'm so sorry. If I definitely have goldfish brain tonight. But I think that the lighthouse is like saying you guys have the same goals in mind. I just and you're trying to beacon to one another, but you're just not catching each other's light in that regard. There's a little disconnect that's happening, but I think that overall, the overall general compatibility is there and it's really strong. You see that down here with the tarot. So we have the 10 of Pentacles. That's right. You walked away. He kind of had the oh, it's coming back. The reverse King of Wands, 10 of Cups, and the reverse Page of Cups. And you got another 10 here. So I think that there is this like urge, this drive between you guys to reach that end goal, whatever that end goal might mean to you guys. I'm I'm assuming based off of the cards with the 10 of cups and then the 10 of pentacles that is creating family, marriage, blah blah blah, you know. Um we have the 10 of cups here. So there is that goal, that urge for stability that you get from the pentacles, that earth energy, that stability and groundedness, planting roots and basically creating this foundation to build atop. And here, though, we have the Knight of Cups. This Knight of Cups is one of my least favorite knights. They're a little fickle. So, which remembering back to the King of Wands, kind of has that same in reverse, has that same fickle energy. But this is a little more immature. So I think that there is a need for growth. I and it's very funny. I'll pull some more cards because I want to see what you asked, what communication, right? Or compatibility. I think overall there's great compatibility. So I'm gonna kind of wrap this up quickly so I can pull some more cards and then get to whimsically. But you have the world card. This is the card of accomplishment, achievement. This is like the I can finally settle in because I have done everything that I need to do. I've gotten everything that I've wanted. I have achieved every single goal. That kind of feeling where you can just sit back, relax, and bask in all of the things that you have earned and worked for. So let me move this up. What I want to ask is what steps to communication need to happen? I'll pull two cards. Let's see. So I feel like there is a strong compatibility, but there is not the desire to communicate right now. And maybe that's fine. Maybe this period is just saying that. So we have the 8 of pentacles in reverse, and then we have the strength card. Just understand that maybe, there were some mistakes made in the past. It is what it is. They happened. You can't go back. You can't change them. But what you can do is just kind of sit with it for a little bit. It's hard because if you're like me, you're kind of like a fixer. I don't like when things are wrong between me and people I care about, like me and my friends. Anytime I feel like something's wrong, I want to hash it out and be done with it. And a good example is I have like an issue going with one of my friends now where she's like low communication, and I'm the opposite where I want to talk things out. So I have to be patient, right? And I think that's what's happening. You need to be patient, summon that strength, understand, give them a little time to cool off. Um, just let things become a little less weird. Summon whatever inner strength that you really need, that you see with the strength card here, and then bridge that gap. Bridge, reach out, ask them out for a cup of coffee or something where you guys can sit and talk. And I recommend this either bare minimum a phone call, but I would recommend in person if it's really worthwhile, if that makes sense. Because text is not good. It's not going to work out. You can't convey context very well through text. Yes, I'm almost done, mister. I'm closing the queue, guys, but whimsically, if you're still here, then don't be worried. So, Anj, I think that you're totally right. You might need to apologize, but maybe not quite right now. Let things kind of settle, I would say, especially if feelings are really heightened. Let things calm down and then bridge the gap, like kind of test the waters, reach out and say, hey, I apologize. Can we talk? That kind of thing. Or talk in person, rather. You're so welcome. All right, whimsically, you are last but certainly not least. Let me know what your question is. Thank you for the donation, Anj. Or the tip, rather. Hello. Ooh, message from Spirit. Okay, let's see. Message from Spirit for whimsically. One more card. Ace of Swords has returned. I think that's the only repeat for individual. Maybe the Knight of Cups was. But we have the Eight of Cups, we have the Two of Wands in reverse, and then we have the Ace of Swords. So, I feel like ultimately here, if you've been worried about moving on and letting go of something that really affected you emotionally or is weighing on you emotionally, I feel like this is the sign to step away from it. I'm going to start in the middle and then kind of work my way out. The Two of Wands is really the card of like exploration and travel, and there's a lot of energy and movement in that card, but in reverse it's feeling stuck. It's feeling like you can't do any of those things. um And this being at the heart of your reading, I think this is the core of your message. It is about, um, and sorry, let me change this. There we go. This is really saying, like, okay, you're feeling stuck right now. I think a lot of that is because of things emotionally, how they're with this Eight of Cups here. This is your sign that now should be the turning point for you. And this is where you decide that you purposefully decide that you are going to let things go emotionally. You're going to put them behind you and you are going to walk away from them. Um, so I work with the moon a lot, and I also like motifs in tarot. So if you look at these two cards, right? If we say, like, we have this card, which I mentioned is like our card of travel, we see this guy sitting here on the ledge, and you can see this staff. And I kind of feel like, this card is saying, if I can just walk away, I can turn this energy upright. And we see these two staves shown here. So you see a lot of the similar motifs connected between there. And I think it's just, this is a sign of needing to let go. With this moon here, I think that this might require a little help with, like, either shadow work, or if you're into, uh if you're going to therapy, that kind of thing, I think that, counselor, anything like that, I think that can help you through this situation. But if you do that, if you start to make that effort to leave those things behind, I think that that will serve you really well with this Ace of Swords. This is the sign of feeling like you're finally making progress, especially in a time where you felt so stagnant for so long. The Ace of Swords also suggests an air of victory. So if you've been feeling like you've been letting yourself down, letting others down, whatever, this is where you are getting that second wind. You feel successful, you feel like you're victorious, you've been making all the right changes, you've been making all the right decisions. So I think if you give yourself a little bit of grace in this situation, understand that, some things are, it's okay to let things go, and letting things go is not a sign of failure. It's just a sign of growth and development and the desire and need to move forward, especially if those things are an anchor weighing you down with that Two of Wands. So I would say, ultimately, if I summarize this, there is a need for a breakthrough with this Ace of Swords, but that breakthrough can't happen until you let things go. Allow yourself to move on and move forward, and just open yourself up emotionally to that process. So just kind of go with the flow a little bit. We have water energy, we have fire, we have air. All of these move at slightly different paces, but you still have that movement. So allow yourself that movement. Gosh, why are people messaging me so much? So yeah. Oop, did not mean to do that. I do wish you luck in that, because that can be very hard. Can be a very hard process. I will say not to rush it as well. Honestly, don't we all? All right, so you were my last person. My queue is clear, and my cats are, like, up my butt right now. So, if you enjoyed these readings, just remember I was using the Endless Oracle by Eric Mael. He is the creator of the Ink Witch Tarot. Quite lovely. Follow him on Instagram. And I was using the tarot. This is the Ethereal Visions Tarot Luna Edition by Matt Hughes. So if you enjoyed that, go ahead and check him out. And otherwise, thank you guys so much. You're very welcome, Whimsically. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will catch you next Thursday. Bye, guys.